Yeah. Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanamine Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanamine Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristaya Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Gokula Nanda Radha Gokula Nanda Radha. Jaya Sita Ram Lakshmana Hanuman, Jaya Sita Ram Lakshmana Hanuman. Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada.
Jai Vishnu Bharata Mahamsa Paramacharyya Astasana His Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai Vishnu Bharata Mahamsa Paramacharyya Astasana His Grace Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Prabhupada Ki Namaskar Vaishnava Ki Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Thanks Lord Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Sari Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopal Gopinath Thakur Bharata Devi Gaurad Ki Shri Ram Ram Ki, Jaipur Ram Ki, Selection Ram Ki, Ram Ki, Munumai Ki, Lasi Maharan Ki, Samveda Bhaktivinoda Ki, Guru Sasam Guru Sasam Guru Sasam Guru Sasam
Namaste, Narasimhaya. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradari Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Rajajanaranjana Yashodanandana Rajajanaranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Brajajanaranjana Yashodanandana Brajajanaranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare. Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Ashtatara Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shama Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan ki Vraj Bhumi Shri Vrindavan Dham ki Mayapur Navadvip Dham ki Ganga Mai ki Yamuna Mai ki Bhakti Devi ki Shrimati Tulsi Maharani ki Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki Harinam Sankirtan Yagya ki Tagora Premanande Haribo, all glorious assembled devotees, Hare Krishna, all glorious assembled devotees, Hare Krishna, all glorious assembled devotees, all glories, the lotus feet of Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga, and all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. So by the mercy of the devotees, I have been given the service to share my understanding or reflections based on the teachings of Srila Prabhupada in his commentary of the Bhagavad Gita. Definitely not qualified to be giving any reflections, but when the devotees give you a service, the best thing to do is to render it. Because only by following the instructions and rendering service to the Vaishnavas as instructed will the mercy of Krishna be displayed for us, because he only serves those who serve his devotees. And so if we attempt to do this in the best way possible, then he might just give us his wonderful glance and eradicate all the disturbances that this material world has very successfully proven to be and proven to show and proven to have. So today we'll be speaking on text 41 of the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Chapter 2 is entitled The Contents of the Gita Summarized, and Chapter 2 basically gives the essence of the entire Bhagavad Gita in a nutshell. We mentioned many times that Krishna is an expert debater. He will highlight you with all the points, give you everything, knock you off your feet, and then take the time to explain to you everything he mentions in grave detail to solidify his arguments. So we'll recite this verse, read the purport, and then we can give the small commentary. Vyavasayatmika buddhir. Text 41. Vyavasayatmika buddhir ekeha kurunandana bahushakahyanantascha buddhayo vyavasayinam. Vyavasayatmika buddhir ekeha kurunandana bahushakahyanantascha buddhayo vyavasayinam. Vyavasayatmika buddhir ekeha kurunandana bahushakahyanantascha buddhayo vyavasayinam. Vyavasayatmika buddhir ekeha kurunandana bahushakayanantascha buddhayo vyavasayinam. Word for word translation, Vyavasayatmika. Resolute in Krishna consciousness. Buddhihi, intelligence. Eka, only one. Iha, in this world. Kurunandana, O beloved child of the Kurus. Bahushakaha, having various branches. He, indeed. Anantaha, unlimited. Cha, also. Buddhayaha, intelligence. Avyavasayinam, of those who are not in Krishna consciousness. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Translation: Those who are on this path are resolute in purpose, and their aim is one. O beloved child of the Kurus, the intelligence of those who are irresolute is many-branched. Purport: A strong faith that by Krishna consciousness one will be elevated to the highest perfection of life is called Vyavasayatmika intelligence. The Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela, chapter 22, text 62 states, Shraddha Shabde Vishvashakahe Sudrida Nishchaya Krishna Bhakti Kaile Sarva Karma Krita Haya. Faith means unflinching trust in something sublime. When one is engaged in the duties of Krishna consciousness, he need not act in relationship to the material world with obligations to family, traditions, humanity, or nationality. Fruitive activities are the engagements of one's reactions from past good or bad deeds. When one is awake in Krishna consciousness, he need no longer endeavor for good results in his activities. When one is situated in Krishna consciousness, all activities are on the absolute plane, for they are no longer subject to dualities like good or bad. The highest perfection of Krishna consciousness is renunciation of the material conception of life. This state is automatically achieved by progressive Krishna consciousness. The resolute purpose of a person in Krishna consciousness is based on knowledge. Vasudeva Sarvam Itisa Mahatma Sudurlabhaha. A person in Krishna consciousness is the rare good soul who knows perfectly that Vasudeva or Krishna is the root of all manifested causes. As by watering the root of a tree, one automatically distributes water to the leaves and branches, so by acting in Krishna consciousness, one can render the highest service to everyone, namely self, family, society, country, humanity, etc. If Krishna is satisfied by one's actions, then everyone will be satisfied. Service in Krishna consciousness is, however, best practiced under the able guidance of a spiritual master who is a bona fide representative of Krishna, who knows the nature of the student and who can guide him to act in Krishna consciousness. As such, to be well versed in Krishna consciousness, one has to act firmly and obey the representative of Krishna, and one should accept the instruction of the bona fide spiritual master as one's mission in life. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur instructs us in his famous prayers for the spiritual master as follows. Yasya prasadad bhagavad prasado yasya prasadan nagati kutopi. Dhyayan stuvam stasya yashastri sandhyam vande guru shri charanaravindam. By satisfaction of the spiritual master, the Supreme Personality of Godhead becomes satisfied. And by not satisfying the spiritual master, there is no chance of being promoted to the plane of Krishna consciousness. I should therefore meditate and pray for his mercy 3 times a day and offer my respectful obeisances unto him, my spiritual master. The whole process, however, depends on perfect knowledge of the soul beyond the conception of the body, not theoretically but practically, when there is no longer a chance for sense gratification manifested in fruitive activities. One who is not firmly fixed in mind is diverted by various types of fruitive acts. We'll read the translation one time, please repeat. Those who are on this path are resolute in purpose, and their aim is one. O beloved child of the Kurus, the intelligence of those who are irresolute is many-branched. Srila Prabhupada ki. Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute. Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So, probably one of my favorite verses in the Bhagavad Gita is this one. It's interesting. Okay, so this is coming at a point where Krishna has just explained Karma Kanda, Sakam Karma Yoga to Arjuna. And he's transitioning to now discuss Nishkam Karma Yoga, which he is already displaying to be something more superior than what he had just mentioned, which was already enough to validate to Arjuna, you know what, you need to fight. Why? Because you're not the body, you're the soul. For the soul, there's neither birth nor death at any time, doesn't come into being, is never slain. And then later on, he mentions also it is your duty as a kshatriya to perform this activity for the welfare of all. If you do not do it, then you will be defamed. And so that for a person of a kshatric nature is enough evidence. But then Krishna being Krishna goes even deeper. And transitions to speak on what Prabhupada mentions in the purport of text 39. He's going to be talking about Sankhya philosophy. And not the Sankhya philosophy by the impersonalist Kapila Dev, but by Kapila Dev, the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, who was addressing Devahuti about the essence of actual devotional service, or true Sankhya philosophy, identifying yourself as the soul connected with the divine. So this is the first verse where Krishna actually starts to hint the kind of mood or consciousness that a person who takes to devotional service should have, which is pretty cool. He mentions that those who are on this path are resolute in purpose and their aim is one. He's describing the mood of the person who's taking to Nishkam Karma Yoga. The person who's taking to Nishkam Karma Yoga is not distracted by other opportunities, thoughts, and perspectives. But his resolute focus or determination to serve Krishna and perform activities in Krishna consciousness is firmly rooted within his psyche. So all his activities are filtered through this lens of, is it fruitful for my Krishna consciousness? And it's interesting also what he mentions, which is also, I just found it quite intriguing, and I was thinking about this just right before coming to the class, that he says, because he's hinting this perspective to Arjuna. Arjuna is a kshatriya, who, if he's determined to do something by his nature, he'll do it, because that's his quality. But he's telling him that those who are on this path are resolute in purpose and their aim is one. Kind of hinting to Arjuna that these are the qualities you should be having. So in his mind, he's probably thinking, okay, so what is this that you're about to offer me that you think I can't handle? Because you're categorizing it as if it's a category that I can't be able to reach. I, as Arjuna, who, the only thing I could see when I was being taught by Dronacharya was the eye of my target, could see nothing else. So when he mentions here, and their aim is one, I feel like Krishna was just trying to subtly trigger Arjuna. Is your aim one? Are you fixed in your determination? And steer that back into his consciousness, that's what he needs to be doing. So that also just shows us how interesting Krishna is. He knows how to use the right words to kind of get people to perform their activities rightly and justly. So this is where he gives his first hint that the people need to be resolute in purpose, and basically he's talking about determination. And what's determination? The quality of being firm in purpose. So if we're firm in purpose, and we know why we want to do what we're going to do, then all our activities will be curtailed towards this goal, and so there's no deviation and no distraction. And so this immediately makes us use the scriptures as a checklist to ask ourselves, okay, am I resolute in purpose? Is my aim really one in my practice? Or do I still have other things that I am holding on to, probably not grossly or not on the in front of everyone, but certainly I still have this as a thought in my head. Because then that clearly states then you're not resolute in purpose. And so the person who's successful on this path of Nishkam Karma Yoga, you do not fit that. And so, okay, so we'll come to the power of being resolute in purpose, what actually being resolute in purpose can do. I thought of different examples. Actually, I can probably talk about this now. So we've seen that even in the Srimad Bhagavatam, personalities who were resolute in their purpose actually achieved success, or were actually situated on the perfect plane that they needed to be. Dhruva Maharaj is the most perfect example. He was resolute in his determination to get a kingdom better than his father's, because of how he was treated by his stepmother. And his being so resolute made him firmly take to the instructions that he was given by Narad Muni, and chant Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya with great intensity, because he knew that by me chanting these mantras, I will be able to reach my goal. And so he gave his heart fully into it. And that resulted to him getting the personal darshan of the Lord, even choosing to neglect that desire because of how beautiful and attractive the divine is, but still ending up getting what he was asking for and what he felt that he wanted before. So the Lord actually still supplied everything, but he was resolute in his purpose, and that was attractive to Krishna. Some that are so not on the best of sides, we have Hiranyakashipu. He was resolute in his determination and in his purpose to acquire so much power internally. So he did everything. He did his mystic siddhis that were, and his meditations that were distracting to the denizens of the heavenly planets, forcing them to have to plead to his case, because he had put in intense resolution to actually get his goal. Parikshit Maharaj sat for 7 days listening to straight Bhagavad Katha because he knew that this was the only solution for his predicament, seeing that he was about to die in 7 days. So that's why he didn't eat, he didn't take a break, he didn't do nothing. He didn't tell Sukadev Goswami to take a break, that he just wants to soak it in. He kept on listening because he was resolute in his determination. The sages of Naimisharanya as well were resolute in their determination to hear only Krishna Katha. And it's in, I think, the transition from the first to the second canto, where Sutta Goswami starts explaining different aspects to do with the mechanics of the cosmic manifestation, as inspired by the Lord, obviously. And the sages of Naimisharanya cut him off and asked him to keep on giving pastimes about the personalities. So just because these were topics about the Lord's intelligence, but because they were resolute to hear about the Lord's activities and the activities of the devotees, they cut off Sutta Goswami speaking about the Lord's magnificence to speak about this particular thing that they wanted to understand, resolute in purpose. Queen Kunti was begging the Supreme Lord for her to be detached from the strongest objects of our affection, which were her children. For a mother to do that, that's very, very difficult, because that's a strong sign of love and affection, because these are the children. But she was determined, resolute in purpose, to actually be fixated on the lotus feet of the Lord, that this impediment that would be quite difficult for a mother to endure, she was willing to take up. So we can see that actual being resolute in purpose breeds positive results. It's a powerful, magical thing. And so looking at the scriptures as our checklist, we can get to question, how resolute am I in my determination to actually become Krishna conscious? Even though I have all these other things and imprints based on the predilections of my senses carried around from the past, how much am I willing to override this so that I can actually be fixated in Krishna consciousness? And for me personally, that's what I try to meditate on every day. What actions am I doing that is beneficial to my devotional life, even with my problems? And those ones that I'm doing that are not beneficial, how can I try to reverse that? How can I try to change that? Because that's the only way I can be fixated on the platform of purity, because the platform of purity doesn't really accept my anarthas. So one way or another, they need to be cleared. But unfortunately, they're there. So I still have to do something. So we look at the scriptures as a checklist like this to kind of see. And these personalities, be they good like, the sages of Naimisharanya or Parikshit Maharaj, or be they bad like Hiranyakashipu, show us that actual straight determination in something can give us a positive result. And that's why I think even when some personalities look at the Bhagavad Gita and decide, okay, I'm going to take to dhyan. Because Krishna says that one just has to be fixed in whatever they're doing with great determination, their meditation becomes how they can be fixed on that fully and solely, even though it's not the best way possible. And that's why Krishna later on mentions, do not agitate personalities if they're already settled in what they're doing. And Prabhupada mentions in this purport, gradually see how you can engage them in devotional service in whichever way, shape, or form that they can be able to take it. And we also see it in the Kami world in the sense that, highly successful people are strongly resolute in their determination to reach their goals. And hence why they're ready to endure so much suffering. I was speaking to one of my friends who I studied with, and, they went to an amazing university, got good grades, was learning history and politics. As we speak, they have their own house. They're my age mate, have their own house, have their own job and everything. Resolute, trying to achieve this. But every time when I'm calling this personality, they're always in distress, suffering, or I've had to deal with this, I've had to deal with that, this problem, that problem, and every single time there's something. But because this person is so fixated on their goal, nothing is wavering them. Nothing is wavering them. And so we see it also working on the material realm as well. But obviously, Krishna intelligently is asking us to place ourselves on the platform of transcendence. The Eka Vibhuti doesn't give much. The Tri Vibhuti gives everything. So focus on that. In the purport, Prabhupada first starts to mention that the person who practices devotional service doesn't have duties to anyone. And so that made me go to chapter 3, text 17. Let me see if I can find it here. The verse where it said, but for one who takes pleasure in the self, whose human life is one of self-realization, and who is satisfied in the self only, fully satiated, for him there is no duty. And Prabhupada even emphasizes this in some of his lectures. He mentions that you actually have duties to so many personalities, it's insane. You have duties to the sun god, to Vayu, who's allowing the pranas in your air to flow. You have duties to your mother. You have duties to your father, to the society, to the community, to the plants that you're killing every single time for your consumption, to the animals that you gradually kill as you maneuver your day-to-day. As you breathe, you're killing so many living entities that you cannot be able to see. You owe all these people something. But for one who actually decides, okay, I'm going to attempt or actually focus Eka Kurunandana to serve Krishna, for them, all those duties are swiped. And that's amazing, because if I had to fulfill all those duties that I would otherwise have to, that would be quite tough. And I don't think I could be able to hack that. So we've been given a shortcut, which is not probably as easy as it sounds, but it's a shortcut anyway. Prabhupada then goes on to talk about the success of a person who has a fixated consciousness, who's on the level of Vyavasayatmika, who has that kind of intelligence. That personality has to have gotten that through knowledge. And that's where now we can see the disparity between those who are in the material world, becoming successful in their material activities, fixated on their determination, and that one who attempts in Krishna consciousness. Because these ones who are attempting on the material realm do not have much knowledge. And so they're just focused on the material aspects of things. But the devotee understands their position, understands Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha, understands that the Supreme Lord Govinda is the cause of all causes. Nothing comes before him, nothing's after him, he's everything. And so all his activities will be curtailed on that purpose. But that personality outside, even though he's Eka Kurunandana in his activities, because Krishna is not the center, everything he's doing is to waste. Which is actually so sad, coming to think of it, because they're putting in so much work, but it's still all useless. And someone can come here and just put a nail in one corner of this building, and they have done so much more for their lives than anyone out there who is purposefully trying to enjoy material life. It is so sad. And this is what from 8 billion people, 0.001 have decided to actually try. And we can see they're in Krishna consciousness, they're in Vaishnava Sampradayas. The rest are still determined to one way, get something from this material world and be happy based on this. And the worst part is, even when they fail at old age, they extend the same mood to the future generations, not accepting the fact that their decisions were false. And that's why at times you see parents, especially for personalities who are not in spiritual life, will still push their children to do the same activities they did, even though they never bred the results that they desired, hoping that, okay, my son can do it. My uncles can, my nieces, my nephews, they can do it. Not recognizing that actually it leads them nowhere. It's like beating an empty husk. So, and it's interesting also, Prabhupada is basically using a pitch here in his purport. He's first telling them, okay, the person who, who has this kind of intelligence in Krishna consciousness, they have no duty. They're chilling. But the prerequisite is that they need the knowledge. Now you've got the knowledge. Now what else do you need? A guru. The guru, one has to approach the spiritual master, render service. We know it from 434. And that actually affirms your Vyavasayatmika intelligence. If you have straight determination, then you will purpose to get this person and to take shelter of this personality. And that's how you prove to Krishna that you want to go to him, that your aim is one. Otherwise, if you're not going to make that bold step to surrender unto a personality who's representing the Lord, then Krishna already understands that your intelligence is many-branched. Well, it's one thing if we've not found a person yet. And if we haven't found a person yet, but we're desiring to have a person, then who else do we go to? We go to Krishna. As the verse said, Yasya Prasada Bhagavad, the only way we can get the mercy of the pure devotee is by Krishna. And by Krishna, by the mercy of the pure devotee, can we get Krishna? So, if we have at least the determination to get the spiritual master, then we can affirm our desire to actually want to go to Krishna. And then Krishna, not as a Chaitya Guru in the heart who will draw you to this personality, but also through that personality will instruct you on what activities you need to do that's best for you to get closer to him. And then he becomes your guide. And so you're not just relying on the gyan that you have, but you're now relying on first-hand information coming directly from the Supreme Lord's representative, which is none differently coming from the Lord himself. And so with that, Prabhupada explains as well that if one has to have that full understanding of their identity. And if they have that full understanding of their identity, and he says, not theoretically but practically, there will be no chance for sense gratification manifesting in fruitive activities. For someone like me who's still gradually trying to reach to this platform of understanding that basic fact that I'm not this body but the soul, this is my hopeful statement, that I could reach a point where there's no chance for sense gratification manifested in fruitive activities by fully having to understand this point perfectly. And we see this as a major trend in all of Prabhupada's lectures. I've been trying to listen to Prabhupada's lectures every day as I'm doing my service. And he bangs on the same point to make us understand the same point so we can act on that platform rather than still giving allowances to our material needs and tendencies. And His Holiness Bhaktivedanta Maharaj came and questioned us, I remember we were all there, and asked us what the 10th offense is. And he mentioned, okay, so if you're still holding on to material attachments, then you're committing offenses to the holy name. And so even when you think about it like that, it's like we've been put in a razor's edge situation where we have to actually be advanced in our practice if we really are determined to reach this goal. And so Prabhupada very nicely, creates this situation that you'll be forced to be attracted to want to go deeper because you really do want to relish what is being described here by Krishna. You want to understand what it means to actually be resolute in purpose. You don't want to be disturbed by other things. Everything he mentions about the opportunities that one gets going onto his abode, experiencing a blissful life. We want to experience these things. And the process has been given, so it just is based on how much we're willing to take it. I'll finish there, just as a quick summary. We talked about how amazing Krishna is in his arguments and how he tries to, trigger individuals. He triggers Arjuna subtly here by mentioning that the aim is one, knowing that Arjuna is the king of aiming. Which obviously, probably, presumably, I assume, enticed Arjuna to want to pay more attention to these statements. Then we talked about what it means to be resolute in purpose and mentioned wonderful examples from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Parikshit Maharaj, the sages of Naimisharanya, Queen Kunti, Dhruva Maharaj, Hiranyakashipu as well. Not amazing in one sense, but, personality in Srimad Bhagavatam. We talked about the fact that when one takes to devotional service, they are devoid of duty. And, they're not bound by the reactions and the obligations that one who's not falling in devotional service is. The fact that they need to have the knowledge to understand that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the cause of all causes, and therefore all my activities should be tailored around pleasing and serving Him. And then for that obviously to be successful and for us to have that vision, then the spiritual master, Guru, needs to be there. And Guru, and you taking shelter of a spiritual master, affirms your determination, affirms your Vyavasayatmika Buddhi in Krishna consciousness. So I'll finish there. Hare Krishna. Any questions, comments, criticisms? It's fine, yeah. Mm. Okay. So Prabhu is mentioning from the purport that Prabhupada mentions that fruitive activities are the engagements of one's reactions from past good or bad deeds. Fruitive activities, they bear fruit, they bear a particular reaction, isn't it? So based on one's previous activities, what they're experiencing now, be it good or bad, is as a result of those activities. So in the past, the activities that you did, be they good or they bad, the fruitive activities are an engagement of those reactions. So the positive things that we're experiencing right now and the negative things that we're experiencing right now are all because of our engagements with the deeds that we did in the past. And that's what we're bound by. And I hope that makes sense. And then when we take to devotional service, then all those become scrapped out. All those bad things you did and all the good things you did, all those reactions that you're supposed to get, be they good or bad, fruitive reactions, become swiped. And so you have your duty less. That's how I understand it, unless you saw it from a different angle. At times when you look at fruitive, we always think it's something positive, isn't it? I don't know if you thought about it the same way. But when I used to think about fruitive activities, I thought it's when I'm gaining something good. But when I'm not gaining anything good, then that wasn't really a fruitive activity. But also fruits can come out spoiled. And so it also still is bad to some degree. Yeah. And it's ultimately all bad because it binds you, right, to this dance of samsara, which we don't want anymore. Hare Krishna, any other questions? All right, Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Jai Nitai Gaura Premanandi. Hari Bol.